let's talk about the some of the 3-year-olds you got. Why don't you lead the way? You know what you got in the barn. You got your 3-year-olds. You can start with Hypnotic AM. You can start with some of the other ones. Which one do you? Which one are you most? How about this? Most impressive from 2 to 3. Like they had their break, they raced at 2, now they're back at 3, and you're like, okay, this horse grew up. It could still be Hypnotic AM, who won a bunch of races and is a superstar in her own right. But is there a horse that maybe has made a significant jump?
I would say Hollywood Story actually made the biggest jump. He was second here in the Stanley Dancer, and I mean he's still very green horse. He only raced I think it's 6 times now, and I think he's actually made the biggest leap because he was always a nice horse, but he was a little immature last year. Wasn't ready to race
Okay.
and stuff like that. He was undefeated until 2 starts ago, and I think he's done the biggest leap. If he's the best, I can't tell about that, but in my opinion, he made the biggest leap.
What's his strength? What's the best thing he does?
He's just a pretty nice horse. I mean, he's strong. He's getting quicker and quicker and getting more mature and starting to get what he's supposed to do. You know.
How do you feel about the boys? Kind of. I guess that's the best way to describe them. The whole division, right?
Yeah.
Can we agree with they're just like okay, they're okay, and the Phillies. Whew, I
Yeah.
mean
The
that's the
Phil- the Phil has been great this year. I mean, they've all stepped up. I mean, if you got to look at the Phillies compared to the Colts, in my opinion, the Phillies are better right now.
I mean there's 3 Phillies, right? There's Ramona Hill who just blasted everybody the other night, 150 and 3 I believe, and Sorella did the same thing a couple weeks ago, and Hypnotic AM. Is there any other Phillies I'm missing in there? But it seems to be those
Pan,
3 are
Pan Am was really good the other day. She finished really strong.
okay. But uh, do you think that we're gonna have another Philly win the Hamiltonian, or do you think one of these Colts? It could be yours. It could be again Amigo Volo. Not as sharp as I would say he should be. Again, compared to the Phillies, Real Cool Sam, Dan Patch champion, has not shown much. And then you have a bunch of the other horses that are all okay, but again, the Phillies are really a standout.
Yeah, I can't really say. I mean, the Colts been very even this year, in my opinion. None have has actually like stood out. I would say Back of the Neck is the one that stood out mostly for me. But I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, like Real Cool Sam, you can't count him out yet because he didn't make a break the other day, unfortunately. So we really don't know how good he would have been that night. So yeah, I can't really say.
You guys have won. It's a little bit different this year, clearly, with the break. The Stanley Dancer is kind of the test, right? I mean, all the horses are there. So, I mean, that's the race you want to make a Stanley Dancer Del Miller, for the Phillies. Are those the races that you guys look at as that's the race we got to win and really showcase, or does it not even really matter? There's 3 weeks in between then and the Hambo, so is it just a matter of maybe let's try something in the Dancer and maybe a different tactic, different equipment, different training style, and then make adjustments for the Hambletonian?
Well, it's pretty much a prep race. I mean, of course you want to win it, but it's a test to see how where you got your horse in coming into the Hambletonian. Like we were very happy with all our horses after the races. I mean, they all had bad posts, they all finished good, and they all looked good. So we were very happy with them, even though we didn't win any.
Are which ones are racing on Saturday? I would imagine there's the Tompkin Gears. I think is Saturday at the Meadowlands. That's probably going to be another major prep race because again, we didn't have much racing in April and May for these horses to get ready for. Are horses not going to race? Which one? Or you guys have not decided yet?
I think we're just gonna the one racing this week is not gonna race because the limbs in 2 weeks, I think, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah. Limbs
So
are August 1st,
yeah,
so
they have the limbs in 2 weeks. So the one racing this week and won't race again. I'd say. I think we're gonna race Rome Pace off this weekend, see where we got him. He had a little slow start until his win at Chester the other day, and we got another filly, Hall of AM, that's going to race as well and see how she is.
Okay. Would you guys? The Hamiltonian has been a thorn in your guys' side. You've won eliminations. You finished second. You've had horses all every year. Is it? Would you rather just win the Oaks and get that out of the way this year, and then win the Hamiltonian maybe next year, or do you want to win both? I mean, you can't get greedy, can you? Or is that okay? You don't care.
No, you can't get greedy, but of course you want to win both. But everything gotta be perfect that day, for that race. I mean, we like last year we had a lot of good horses in the final. Didn't just Everything just didn't go according to plan in the final. I mean, they all raced good, but you know, you gotta have all the luck in the world in that race, even though how good of a horse you had.
I was gonna say, like, what do you guys? No matter how hurtful, or I don't know if hurtful is the right word, but listen, if the greatest race, if it didn't hurt when you lost, it wouldn't be the greatest race, correct? I mean, there has to be, obviously people maybe don't want to feel that loss, but I mean, that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
They say losing the Super Bowl is worse than not being in it at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you guys have been on that level. Again, seconds, thirds, limb winners, you've been right there. But what is something that you personally have taken away from that? And just have you seen the owners, the drivers, Marcus, the barn, the caretakers? Is there something that every year you guys build upon and say, okay, well, we got to make this adjustment. How do we get it better this year? Do we just buy more horses and have 10 in the final and then we can't possibly lose? How do you guys go about that?
No, I mean, to be in the Hamiltonian, still, I mean, you got to have a really good horse, an exceptional good horse. And like last year when we had three in the final, I mean, it was just amazing. They were all three super horses that turned out to be super horses. Green Shoes started now, Chimpanzee still racing. Malaysia has been racing in Sweden. And we continue to do what we do. We train down the 2-year-olds to hopefully we'll get a superstar again that can be in the Hambo. And this year we have a couple that we think can be in the final. But to get there, you gotta have some luck. And if you get to the final, you gotta have real much luck to get in the top three.
Do you think that with, because it's always interesting, a couple years ago we had Atlanta and Manchego, and they were kind of crossing paths, not really crossing paths, kind of whatever. And then one went in the Hamiltonian and one went in the Oaks. And like, I don't know if they'll ever be truthful about it, but was one kind of avoiding the other? Did they I wonder if Ziron and Tector discussed, hey, I'm going in the Oaks, I'm going in the final. What, I wonder, is there some sort of gamesmanship where, do you think we have these fillies now? Do you think they're all going to race in the Oaks? Do you think they're all going to race in the Hambo? If they're all going to race in the Oaks, does that widen it up for the colts to one to step up? I mean, Forbidden Trade last year was a great horse up in Canada, and he comes down and he wins the Hamiltonian, and he was solid, but he still had a lot of things go his way to win the Hamiltonian. So do you guys feel like now maybe this year there's a little less pressure on the colt side where it's like, yeah, if this horse is good, this horse is going to win. He'll be fine with a little bit of luck.
Well, it's not as much pressure. I mean, last year we had Green Shoe that there was a lot of pressure on him winning it, of course, because he was the heavy favorite, and he did great races. I mean, he in the final it just didn't turn out the way we wanted to do. I mean, he still did a great race, everything like that. So we had no complaints. This year we're coming in not as favorites, so it's not as much pressure, of course, but we still have hopes to become top three at least.
Okay. What do you think about all the Philly gamesmanship? Do you think all three are going to enter the Oaks? Do you guys have that discussion with Hypnotic AM to be like, maybe we go on the Hambletonian if these two are going to stay over here? I mean, it's interesting now because both limbs are on the same night, whereas years before you could race. There was I forget what, I think it was Ariana G won the Hambo Oaks Elim, and she could still technically enter the Hambletonian.
Yeah.
Now with the limbs on both days, there has to be a decision to just say, hey, we're going this way, we're going that way.
Yeah, it's gonna be tougher. I mean, it's better for the Colts this year that they can actually do the limbs the week before. It's better
Right.
on. I mean, that the Hamiltonian day usually gets so warm in there. Racing two times, it's not easy on them. And the decision making for racing against the Colts versus the Phillies, I mean, it's a tough decision for all the trainers. I mean, like Alanya and Nancy now and us to make that decision. I mean, it's going to be a lot of back and forth, talking to owners and stuff like that, discussing. It's not an easy decision to make.
Do you think, again, like, it could there be a scenario where the three trainers actually talk to each other? Or is that not something that you could ever see happen?
Oh, I could see that happening. I could really see that happening. I mean, if the best Philly, I don't know who's the best Philly right now. I mean, in my opinion, because they're all great. And if two of them say, "Oh, we're going to go against the boys," then it's kind of obvious that you will go against the Phillies. I
Right.
mean, it's a better choice. But if they say that they're both going against the Phillies, I would probably race against the Colts.
So, I mean, it's going to be quite interesting over the next couple of weeks. Let's talk about some of your 2 year olds. You know how many horses we've had, again, Hamiltonian. You kind of guys have known right along, hey, this horse is good, this horse is subpar. What are some of your 2 year olds that you think, all right, we got something here? And you don't have to name them specifically, but hell, if you want to, I mean, stamp it to be like, you guys better watch out for this horse. Aren't they in the eyes now? Is that how Courant does their naming system based on each letter of the alphabet, right? So aren't we up to I's or J's?
Yeah, this year's I. Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the horses that you've been impressed with baby racing and training down? You personally.
Oh, I can't say like any specific. I mean, we got a bunch of nice horses that some are still green and you can't really say how good they're gonna get, and some that just feels like, oh, they're gonna get good. But I mean, I can't really say that any specific horse that I would say feels better. You know.
What you baby raced a couple, right? I saw on Facebook there was what were some of the baby races that you won with qualifiers at the Meadowlands?
I won with Bidensky. I won with he raced the other day. Didn't really work on the Meadows track, and I gotta think.
Do you find that ship because you guys are only what an hour from the Meadowlands
Yeah,
ish, give or take? Do you find that trip going all the way out to the Meadows? That's what 6, 7, 8 hours, give or take.
it's about 5.5, 6. Yeah.
I mean, that itself is something that the horses have to train for. I mean, that first time going out, I would imagine making that trip, that itself is a training exercise. So even if, like you said, it didn't work out, maybe it was the track, maybe it was the ship out there. That's something that I don't think that people generally kind of put into their head of like, no, these horses have to deal with a lot of things thrown at them the first year of racing that you can't really simulate on a farm. I mean, unless you guys take them out for a 5 hour drive on a random Tuesday. Do you guys do that or no?
No, no, it's that was. I mean, they when they come here from Lexington, that's also pretty tough on them. That's why when we get them from Lexington or Harrisburg or something like that, we always let them, just go in the paddock for a couple of days, just let them, get into here and everything like that, because it takes on them, especially the 2 year olds. When they're three, they learn about it, but when they're two in the beginning of the year, like right now, it's the first trips, they can be tough on them.
And you guys have, I mean, again, it's year after year after year. It's almost like completely routine of how horses are going to react at this point, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you just make sure that they drink and eat good and look good and everything like that. That they don't spike a fever or anything like that. You just they're comfortable. you go out to walk with them and everything like that. So yeah,
How many pacers you guys have?
right now we have no pacers, only trotters.
Is that something you want to start pushing, or are you okay with driving trotters?
I'm
Like,
okay
come
with
on,
driving
guys.
trotters. I mean, I wouldn't mind driving the pacers. I like driving pacers too, but right now it's only been trotters. I'm most confident with trotters, of course, but that's mostly because that's all I did all my life, pretty much.
All right, so I think we covered everything, right? Your whole life
Pretty much.
in one. Hopefully, we'll do it again next year, and by that time, what you'll have a couple of Sire Stakes championships, Breeders' Crown championships. What? The end of the year, what am I going to say that you did as a driver?
Oh, I'm not sure. Yes.
Rising Star Award, Breakthrough. What? And any of those awards? You happy with any of those?
No, that's what we aim for. I mean, when you start driving and everything like that, that's what you gotta aim for if you want to become something. And that's one of the things I aim for to become.
You'll take all that stuff, right? Yeah, you'll take it all, right?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna make.
All right, all right, man. Appreciate it, and good luck in all the Hambletonian Oaks and the preps and the final and all this fun stuff, and hopefully Chimpanzee can just continue on and doing his thing.
Yeah, hope so too. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ben.
Thank you.